Hi everyone, Carthony Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Mitski album, Laurel Hell. Back with her 6th full-length LP, following up her ever-so-popular Be the Cowboy in 2018, which instantly made her one of the most popular singers and songwriters on the indie circuit. There were spots of this record I thought were spectacular, but love for the entire thing sort of eluded me. Sure, it was more high production than her earlier releases, but many of the songs lacked development, and instrumentally, there wasn't really a strong sense of direction going anywhere, as the tracklist brought this under-seasoned buffet of art pop, dream pop, and new wave. But Mitski's previous projects were much rawer by comparison. Maybe it was an instance of an awkward transition into something bigger. So I went into Laurel Hell hoping to hear a stronger sense of self, though the teasers had me skeptical. The first of which was Working for the Knife, which currently stands as one of my least favorite Mitski tracks ever. The instrumental on this one is just so messy and unflattering. First off, is the intro supposed to sound like a bad impression of the knife? Then suddenly completely fades away from that into this slow, tedious, clanging, banging instrumental of dream industrial indie rock. Every sound it casually throws into the mix to build it up only makes it sound more obnoxious and sloppy. Yeah, I just wasn't impressed with this song on first listen. As I have revisited it for this review, it has not grown on me at all. Further singles, Love Me More, Heat Lightning, and The Only Heartbreaker, were leagues better in terms of song structure and instrumentation, but we're all still more or less nostalgic synth-pop throwbacks. Something I'd say there's no shortage of these days, and unfortunately I fail to see what Mitski brings to this particular sound on this record, especially with how derivative some of these tracks are running. Like, for as fun and as exhilarating as the hook on Love Me More is, there are elements of it that sort of sound like Flashdance Maniac. The beat that kicks off The Only Heartbreaker sounds like the intro to 5 or 6 different new wave hits. The instrumental is pretty extravagant and blood-pumping, yes, but I wonder how well a move like this is going to go over with longtime Mitski fans. Because the magic of this track isn't really in any detailed or confessional lyricism, it's really more about this sparkling melodramatic chorus. So with the rest of the record, I was more or less hoping for something that would wow me in the deep cuts, but they more or less ended up being fine. There's the patient drony intro cut, Valentine Texas, that features some drony synth chords and sparse beats. Kinda sounds like a beach house cut from the late 2000s. Love the way the synthesizers blossom and layer up as the track progresses. Mitski's vocals somberly guide the listener into the rest of the album. Staysoft is a dreamy disco cut with a bump and groove. Fun synth embellishments and rich bright pianos as well. What also stuck out to me about this track is how well Mitski strikes this balance between pop appeal, but then also writing a song that's pretty thoughtful and detailed lyrically. Really straddles this border between being really dark and sexy as well. The song Everyone is one of many slow burners in the track list here, and I also think hits harder as a poem than it does a piece of music. The slow throbbing beats and Mitski's middling vocals don't really leave as strong an impression on me as her comments on the dangers of youthful naivete. I felt mostly the same way about There's Nothing Left for You. The bright rush of synths and guitars and soaring vocals in the second half is bold and does hit hard. I also love the way it kind of disappears almost as if it was just a figment of my imagination. But the whole thing works better as a poetic meditation about being totally and completely done with someone emotionally. However, these feelings don't seem completely mutual on the following Should Have Been Me, where Mitski describes her ex as having found someone who looks just like her now, saying, "Must be lonely loving someone trying to find their way out of a maze." It would kill me if that was an ex's assessment of me. Maybe it is. Yeah. The final moments of this LP I'm a little mixed on because the progression of this narrative is a bit jumpy. We switch from kind of bitterly judging the other person who's also just trying to move on with their life and maybe, yeah, they haven't got everything quite figured out yet, to then disconnecting from that and any larger narrative completely on the song I Guess, which is really another internal monologue being presented as this dreamy, ethereal musical meditation, which once more hits bland, is utterly unmemorable musically, musically, but Mitski's words about wanting to hold on to the calm after the storm of a rocky relationship, those hit hard. Those words resonate with me pretty hard personally. She even leaves the song saying thank you before it just completely disappears into the ether. The track ends up being sort of a final but fleeting thought before we transition into That's Our Lamp, which is turning up the heat with a louder, more rockin' instrumental. It ends up being sort of a credits roll moment for the LP, with Mitski reflecting back on this really chaotic moment where she's running out of the apartment after a fight. But there's something kind of lacking about the track as an overall song and a final moment for the LP, because there's a severe lack of detail in the progression of this fight, the whole scenario overall. The faint disco grooves on the track are kind of overpowered by Mitski's vocals, which aren't the best performance on the entire LP. There's something about the song that feels almost like karaoke. I just think it's a really awkward and somewhat inconclusive note to finish things on, even if it is just an afterthought or a quick snapshot of a moment at an earlier time. So final thoughts on Laurel Hell are tough to sum up honestly. There are aspects of it that I prefer over Be the Cowboy, be it the instrumental consistency or the breakup theme, but by that same token, on the songwriting front, on the instrumental front, there is something severely missing from a lot of these tracks. That's not to say there aren't highlights, that there aren't good parts, of course, but Laurel Hell overall is just not an LP that I see myself either in whole or in pieces coming back to anytime soon. I'm feeling a strong 5 to a light 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video you could check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Mitski, Laurel Hell, forever.